I got the record button. Let me hit the share button again. Oh, there it is.
Oh, while she's doing that, has everybody had a chance? The meeting minutes were, last month's meeting minutes were emailed to us. If everybody's had a chance to look at them, that's the agenda, I guess. Yep.
Agenda. And, oops. Just the minutes.
Okay. If you can, yeah, pull up the minutes. Has anybody not read them yet or needs a chance to look at them? I had the one correction. Diana, did you get to change it?
New.
I have a correction.
Yeah, I emailed a correction to you a while back.
May I make a correction?
Okay.
It was Marie Burnett and not Marie F. who seconded the motion.
Right. That's what Diana had sent you that you had her not listed as a member.
Oh, was that it? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was for the approval of the minutes, correct?
Right.
Okay. Marie Burnett. Okay.
That was the only thing I saw. Is there anything else anybody sees, wants to ask a question about or make a change? Hearing none.
Can't I just write Marie's and just include them both?
No, I think.
Jeez.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I should never have done that. Okay. We'll just get out of there.
Well, we could make a motion. Somebody could make a motion to approve the minutes with that one correction.
So moved.
Oh.
Sarah Lynn, anybody second? Anybody second? Are you muted? I don't hear anybody.
I'll second.
Julie, Donna? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So the meeting minutes are approved. All right.
Yay.
Next item on the agenda.
Let me get these off.
Okay. Next item is the announcement of the second poll results for the subcommittee date and time change. Have we come to any conclusion on that?
Conclusion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to stay the same.
Okay. All right.
We all agreed to agree to stay the same.
Yeah.
No changes.
All right. My only difficulty is on that 15 minutes after this is over, they expect one to report out on this meeting, which sometimes is a little rougher, but okay. We'll live with it.
Fortunately, there were a few people that would not be able to attend each of the other options.
I understand, right. Okay. Next item is the multifamily toolkits. Discuss the major commonalities of other cities' multifamily toolkits. So I assume someone from staff has a...
Based on last month's meeting, we were asked to pull together some of the commonalities between some toolkits that are out there already. Yeah. So I do have a presentation. Diane, I can start sharing.
Okay, let me stop. There you go.
Wow, it's a fancy thing. I like it.
Okay. So I would just like to say before I start that I have several slides here, and I would like to hopefully get through all of them before we start discussing any of it, just so we can see everything. And then by the end, we'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
Thank you. The first thing I wanted to do was remind everyone kind of where we came from, because we started looking at our recommendations quite a while ago. And this is just a reminder that the ICI sector had within the study's recommendations, the technical assistance and standards for signage and adequate infrastructure, which focused on multifamily. And then there, under the residential sector, there was another category or another recommendation for standards and for signage and adequate infrastructure, which also was kind of focusing on multifamily. And so therefore, at one point we decided we would combine those because they were so similar. So I just kind of wanted to refresh our memories that that these recommendations are in the study. They don't really have a focus on ordinance or anything like that. It's a lot of standardizing and being consistent and also offering assistance. So, so this is just the beginning. And there we go. I also found in one of a pretty good toolkit that I came across based in Minnesota, they gave this chart, and it was part of their intro to basically just remind anyone that is working on projects like this that multifamily average recycling is just generally different and less than curbside average recycling. And of course, even then, even further, multifamily units recycling programs can be different from each other. But it is important to note that that even the highest of diversion programs aren't typically collecting as much recycling as a single family curbside program. So I just thought that was a really good bit of information to remember as we move forward and think.
Did they offer any reasoning behind that, or just it's all just data?
I wanted
Yep.
to add that my understanding of the data is that this correlation happens regardless of economic bracket even. That affluent, educated renters are less likely to recycle than low income, less educated homeowners are.
Okay.
So I just thought it was
Did this include glass?
you can look up the study. It came from the toolkit I read reported down there at the bottom where it shows that's
Yep.
what it referenced. So
Okay.
that might, and it's old, but I don't know that there's anything more recent, but
One
it
of the
might be
reasons
worth.
I asked is whether or not the curbside included glass and multifamily did not.
I would hope a research study would be
Yeah.
consistent in their
question.
data, but good question. The other thing that I found in the introductions or an introduction in one of the bigger toolkits that I read, I just found also to be helpful and wanted to share. And they basically put this out there because throughout this toolkit, they use the word characteristics and the word challenges. And so they clarified at the beginning what those really mean. And characteristics are things that really can't change, like having a high resident turnover or the building size. And then the challenges are things that can be changed, but they do have to be addressed for the program to operate and be more successful. So I thought that was just another thing to that's helpful as we move forward.
That is. Thank you.
So the next several slides are just some of the elements that I found in most toolkits. They're typically going to mention, and we even did in our preliminary document, who's going to be responsible for this. So just having a general idea that, okay, we're talking the property owners or the managers or whatever their title may be, but the person there that oversees the contract for the trash is going to be responsible for this. And another step involved would be finding a waste hauler. So in our case, if you go to a multifamily complex, they already have a waste hauler, but they're likely just using them for garbage. So they may not have to find one, but maybe first start with their current waste hauler and find out information about what it would take. And another element of this that I'm going to refer to throughout is some resources that we could, as staff, offer on our website and through outreach to help property managers navigate this a little more easily, such as having a directory of haulers and maybe like a list of questions to ask your hauler that can help guide them through the process.
And maybe if we did it in a map form, if it didn't overlap too much, it would be more helpful to people too.
That's true. Another element to this is, after kind of finding out who the hauler is that you're going to work with, understanding storage. So this can get super technical, but some of these toolkits do remain general because there's so much variation. But the main ideas are that you want to provide convenient access. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be right next to garbage. If you're talking about dumpsters, it may, and my next point kind of leads to that as well, but the layout might vary based on a building's infrastructure and also the expected behavior of residents that would get you the best results. So kind of thinking about behavior of your residents, I think will help and understand the best way to lay out this recycling versus garbage. And of course, anything that is in toolkits, sometimes they're very specific to cities, so it might refer to their own ordinances, but they're going to have to comply with any kind of general solid waste management ordinance, which we've already talked about some of that research, and it mostly deals with cleanliness of the area. And then if there are common areas that a complex wants to offer recycling in, that garbage and recycling should be side by side. So that's kind of thinking if there's maybe a game room or a foyer or something like that. And then there's this subject of signage and labels and posters, and making sure that containers are clearly marked using images and text in common languages. Images and color schemes should be consistent. So that is something that we've already talked about, trying to be more consistent in that. And any of the things that I've been printing or putting on the website, I've definitely been trying to keep some of those images the same, just so when people see it, it's recognizable and doesn't seem too different. And then as another resource that as staff we can offer would be downloadable graphics, so that it makes it super easy for someone to have a printer, whether it's signs they want to hang or stickers they want to label something, that they can get that printed up. And then, of course, once all that's set up, you want to encourage your residents to recycle. So the basics that that I found, providing recycling and solid waste management information to new residents, the same information should be resent to residents at least annually, and then posted in the common areas or wherever is where people need to be able to see it. And the main idea of what needs to be shown is, of course, what can be recycled, where recycling bins and trash containers are located. Of course, everywhere is a little bit different. There may be a valet service, so they don't actually have to take it themselves. How to get rid of common items not allowed in the garbage or recycling, such as furniture, electronics, and chemicals. We don't want to forget that not everything belongs in both those streams, so they should have some information about what to do. You can offer outreach an outreach program to residents from district staff. There might be an opportunity for a class, something like that, and then offering a move-in tour to walk them through collection areas.
Do you mean that some people actually have people that take their trash out for them? When you said valet?
Yeah, like from their door. The one
Why not?
apartment that we've been to since we started working with the apartment association has that.
Oh, never heard of it.
I know some people that all they do is trash day. They open the door, just put it right there by their door, and somebody magically comes and takes it. But recycling, they have to carry it all the way down to the corner of the facility. You know, it's multi-building type thing, and decide how to put it in the container and all that, right? So,
So the next part would be monitoring and measuring your success. So, you know, as this toolkit goes along, the idea is, okay, we got all these other things in place. So now if you've started recycling, you can figure out if there are any adjustments to be made, and you might see that referred to as right sizing your garbage and recycling, whether it's changing the size of containers or maybe the frequency of collection. Learn about managing all waste properly and best practices for illegal dumping issues. We know that's an issue with apartment complexes, and this, you know, recycling education and learning how to have a program doesn't have to stop at recycling. It can be an entire waste management toolkit if that's the way you know, the toolkit goes. It can go beyond recycling. And visit recycling waste area regularly to identify issues. So everywhere is going to be different, but there would be common contaminants. Then education can be focused on common mistakes. Always check and make sure signs and labels are readable and replace when needed. And of course, keeping the area clean and clear of obstacles. And to go along with monitoring and measuring success, an idea, as I found in some of these toolkits, was about 3 months into a new recycling program, you want to check in. So you might do a waste audit, and that can be a visual assessment, or it can be something a little bit deeper, where you can conduct a waste audit yourself, or even hiring a third party to conduct that audit for you. And then, of course, results can be used to focus your efforts on improving even more. And probably a good idea to schedule a regular time that you would want to check in on any progress. And I just made this list because some of these toolkits had links. Of course, they're, you know, very specific to a town. So, but I found it interesting, some of the resources that are provided. And I mentioned before the waste hauler business directory, and a list of questions to ask your hauler, signage design files. There was also one that had a template if you wanted to send a letter or email that you're starting a program or whatever, have creating templates that, so it's kind of already written for these property managers. And of course, the recycling brochure. And then, as I mentioned, trying to really hone in on waste management as a whole, even providing something like best practices for preventing illegal dumping.
question?
Yes.
Has anybody or districts help provide containers or anything like that? Or not free, but to give them some advice where to buy or something like that?
I didn't notice any specific containers. I think there's probably some tools on helping understand size. And then also some go as far as distance from each other and things like that. But that gets into a lot of technicality. So, you know, that can be because they have a requirement, or, you know, it might be more general and then left up to the hauler. And this is the last slide, and this is a roadmap. So this is just a thought about how to get where we want to go. So, we may come up with like a long-term goal or just an end goal. Like, what is it that we all agree on that we want to happen? But this is a possible roadmap. So starting here, toolkits and resources for best practices being available on the website. There's really not a whole lot currently available on our website, but that is something, to me, that would be a great place to start. And, depending on the direction everyone here and through the committee and board wants to go, toolkits and resources are a great place to start. And once something like that is easily accessible, you may not have a whole lot of property managers looking for that or wanting to just automatically do that on their own. So then maybe creating an outreach program where there is district staff that can actually seek out and help initiate some of these best practices when it comes to waste management at multifamily properties. And from there, there may be requirements put in place, flexible requirements based on resident requests for recycling service at properties, especially if the first focus is on maybe properties that already have residents that are interested in recycling and they're frustrated that it's not available. Coming up with some requirements in that case, but it can go on from there. And I think an important first step is determining maybe a long-term goal and then figuring out what are those steps that will get us there. I do believe that this first step listed, that can happen. I feel like, I'm not saying it's easy to make all of that stuff, but I feel like there would be nothing wrong with offering some tools and resources for anyone who's interested to be able to find. And let me just double check that. Yep, that was the last slide. And so I did thank you for I wanted to at least get through all of that, and then I can either stop sharing, or if there's any slides you want me to go back to see, I can do that too.
I think it was very good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
I'd almost say, should we share this like when we have the next meeting 15 minutes after this is over? I'd almost like to offer to share it to people, not have them go through the whole thing now, but offer it to them.
Yeah, and we can send it along to
Okay.
the file so everybody has it for sure.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Are the folks that are affiliated with multifamily, are they on the call?
I do not see anyone from the apartment association, but we'll get with the apartment association to kind of go through this. I think as it sits right now, one of the first places that we felt like that we needed to start it was to get the members of that association to tour the recycling facility, because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions as to what contamination is and what is good, what is bad. And just general recycling education, because while we all think that we know recycling, when you take a tour of that plant, it opens up your eyes to everything that does go into it.
We did meet with the first meeting with the apartment association, and we have a West Rock tour scheduled. We couldn't get in there until May 19th. So I'm not sure if we'll try to meet with them ahead of, before then, but that's the that's the plan. We decided we thought they could benefit from a tour. Yes.
Speaking of which, I this morning got my periodic email from somebody who wants to know, is it true that recycling is really happening? And they wanted to know, did I think they could tour the facility to see for themselves so they could tell their friends? What, do you happen to know the answer, or could I invite this couple to come along on our trip? Because I think they think it's fine, but they're hearing from their friends that, oh, it might really be going to the landfill. Do we have any thoughts on that, or anybody from the MRF?
I don't think anyone from the MRF is here, but
Okay.
we do love for people to tour because we know that it is, it's just amazing
Compelling.
for people to see. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I know we have I have an ambassador tour on the 28th, and I think as long as we give them a heads up of how many people are coming, and that we can accommodate that, even on that date on the 28th, I can touch base with you if you want to see if we have room.
Okay.
I know I have had people also ask me about tours sometimes, and occasionally it's a family. They don't allow kids, of course, but so that, sometimes people are bummed about that. But yes, I can touch base with you, and you can, I know sometimes with groups, like for example, the Metro Green Team reached out to Laura and Kim over there, and they are working on a date. So
Cool.
they get busy, especially in the spring and summer, though.
Yeah.
Karen,
Sarah Lynn,
Is that Bruce?
yes.
Hi.
If there are any Rumpke customers that you're familiar with that would like a tour of the sorting facility that we utilize, whether it be the small fiber plant we have here in Louisville or the single stream plant in Cincinnati, we would be more than happy to set up a tour, given a certain number of people. If we can get 6 to 12 people, that would be great.
Thank you. I'll have to ask them. I think they live here in the Highlands, but I'll confirm where they live and who's their service provider. Thank you.
Karen, one of the things that we might explore with our MRFs is trying to set up a dedicated day for a tour, and just kind of, they have to come through and make an appointment, and we can have as many as what they can handle. But if we have a dedicated day every month, maybe it can become a little bit more streamlined and accepted that we do this, and it's open to anybody that needs. Obviously, we would want as many days as we can get based on the demand, but maybe something that we can discuss with our facilities.
That's a great idea. Thanks.
Sounds good.
Karen, one last thing on that. If we can offer them any assistance in material that makes giving those tours a little easier, I know that it can be very noisy, at least at West Rock, and it's very difficult to communicate. Maybe it's even headsets or something like that that could kind of make things a little bit easier.
I've spoken with Kim about that. I don't know that they officially, started to buy anything, but I remember even on Amazon seeing some sets that you can buy, which seemed pretty cool for touring.
The other thing that really struck me about my tour there, yes, it was really noisy, but it was also very, very dusty, and I was coughing a lot. And so we might ask people just to bring their COVID mask to make it a little less reactive.
That's a good point.
Those now, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah, I would highly recommend that if we do get a group together, I think it would, with your background and whatnot, you would thoroughly enjoy the tour of the Center City plant, the automated plant with the robotics, just to see how things have changed over the years. I know it's a little bit of a drive to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But if we can get a group together, Pete's been there and a number of people have been there already. but we have the communication set up with, you know, basically the headphones and the hard hats and all that.
That would be cool.
And
Yeah,
Bruce,
it is amazing how much it's changed.
I have missed the Rumpke tour in Cincinnati, so I might be the one that sets that up, and I'll just put it out there for anybody who wants to join me.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon. I see the multifamily or recycling resources from WM, and yes, that's one of the toolkits that I used too. So I did come across that one. Thank you. If anyone else sees the chat, there's a link if you all want to have that.
Okay.
I guess, were there any other questions about those toolkits, or maybe any thoughts on next steps?
I think it looked great. And I wish there was some of the apartment people and like the Jade and Carrie guy or something here. Have they seen it or are going to see it at some point?
You all are the first to see. I can definitely put that out there to JD and see if he wants to at his next. We did meet virtually the first time. If you know, easy enough maybe to try to have another virtual meeting, and I could present that and get their thoughts on it.
I mean, as far as next steps go, it seems like if this is a voluntary thing, it's not our call. And if it's a regulatory thing, then it is.
No, well, it might not be our call, so to speak. But development of toolkits and outreach programs that is provided by the district is under something that we would want to be totally involved in. I mean, there's a lot of experience here, from educators to delivery of services. So the outlying is the apartment owners or residents of apartments that want this. They're the keys to this whole thing. We just have to develop things that work with that.
Yeah, I don't question that we have expertise. To me, the question is anybody interested? And if they are, I think we'll step up to the plate. But if they're not, they want to do things their own way, it's their privilege if we're not going to make it mandatory.
Keith, do we need a motion to approve this?
There's really not a something to approve at this point. You know, unless there's somebody that has questions about the slides and feel like that the slideshow needs to be edited, you know, then you can make a motion to maybe edit the presentation somewhat or to add to it. But I don't think that we have anything to really vote on yet, unless I'm missing something.
You're not.
I guess the only thing would be if we want to vote to give this to the 109 board or anything like that. You know, I said we could show it at the advisory committee following this, or let them know about it.
Well, I think
it would be
from
up to
my
the whole
perspective, I think the advisory committee
Right.
maybe. I don't know that we want to, every time that we get a step that we want to go to the advisory committee meeting. I think we need to do some work, but I think the advisory committee may be focusing on the 5-year solid waste management plan
That's true.
quite a bit.
Okay. It's a good point. Okay. I guess
Do you all foresee staff putting some effort into a toolkit as a worthwhile thing to do, I guess? I mean, it's not like it's something I've never thought about as far as education. It's just, you know, with a lot going on and priorities, but we can certainly put it up a little higher in the priority list if it seems like something we want to have as to go along, as we keep moving on this, I guess.
I think we're not the people to answer that question. It's the folks with the multifamily units.
I think that in general, the whole purpose of us doing this, and we've talked to the association about this, is to get toolkits and kind of put together some best practices. And, that will be part of what we go through with them. But, as everything that we've done, we kind of, we have, when do we start with a diagram, a background, a starting document? You got to have something in front of you to kind of get the ball rolling, whether or not it's in the wrong direction totally or not. I mean, you got to have some place to start. So my suggestion would be that we do start at least with a development of a somewhat of a best practices document. And it will be part of what we work with the apartment association on, is development of that document in this group.
Pete, I think the committee you and I and Karen are on would probably be a good place to make that same presentation. I think that would be well received there. I'm sorry somebody wasn't on the call today, but I do think we could put that on the agenda to see if JD and the board would want to have Karen present that. I think it'd be effective at the, committee they've set up.
Yeah, Brian, I think we definitely do make this presentation to them, as well as giving them the background documents that we've researched in the toolkit, the actual documents that we're basing a lot of this stuff on. We just felt like that there's a lot of people that just don't understand recycling, or they think they understand recycling, and they just can't get an image of it like they can if they go to that recycling center. So it's kind of like our idea was that we get them the tour first and then we start to talk, because they have a better idea of the language and the images in their head.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Okay. So what's next?
I think that was the end of the agenda, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the only last agenda item, right? So.
Well, this is crazy stuff. We're done 15 minutes early.
All right. Well, what's the tasks that we have on hand for the next meeting? You're gonna, I guess, present to the association, and then
We'll at least try to set up a time if we want to have our tour first. It's scheduled currently for May 19th, so that might not hit before the next meeting. And then maybe we can get the presentation set up not too long after that.
the May 19th tour is West Rock.
It's for West Rock, for the apartment association, yeah. And then I think we're ICI and self-haul, so the Monroe County tour, I believe, came out of this subcommittee, but we put that on the agenda to talk about at the advisory committee, just because we figured we might as well share it with everyone.
Correct.
So.
Good.
It was an excellent tour.
Yeah, it was very, very, very good. Yeah. Appreciate it that we had to do it. All right, I guess we could break. We could break early.
Yeah, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we often go past 4:15, so this will make up for it. All right. Who has a motion to adjourn? Anyone?
I think that's
So
my
moved,
job.
Ray.
Pardon me?
So moved. It's Brian.
Okay. So,
I think Sarah Lynn had a second.
I'll second.
good. All in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? No. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for your participation, and I assume everyone's going to be at the 4:30 on a advisory committee, and enjoy the good weather. All right, take
Good
care.
job, Karen.
Yeah, very good job, Karen. That was excellent.